All right, so what did we decide we're talking about?
Just whatever you want.
No.
We'll wade the waters in Star Wars and see where we're
And
going.
the Mandalorian, contrasting
all
them.
of it.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about
Because we
Mandalorian.
should talk about that more.
Has anyone seen Lost in Space?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
All right, well,
we can still talk
Mandalorian and Star Wars it is.
We can
And
touch
who's
anything
all
they
seen
want.
The Witcher?
No, but that's okay. But I can
No.
still criticize it.
I feel like we
like
like we should do a full. You need to see The Witcher. You would
It is.
enjoy it.
It's really good.
Like
Charles hates-
there are so many titties
This
to
is
make
just
it
get
worth
it going.
it.
Don't worry. We'll
It is.
take care of it.
It's true. Like
So many
Well, it's
titties.
not Game
Titties,
of
you
Thrones
say.
level.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
It's
Titties
like-
to make it worth it.
Oh, okay. So
Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Jenna.
this is Charles.
I'm John.
Chris.
I'm Seth.
And today we're going to be continuing our discussion into Star Wars, talking about the Rise of Skywalker and also the Mandalorian, and there'll probably be some of the child in there. I have to be careful to say the child
still the
because I'm
Baby
sitting
Yoda
too
show.
close to Jenna and she likes
Yeah.
stabby things.
I
And she doesn't
mean,
want
that
it
could be a
called Baby
really
Yoda.
good title. That could
And
be
it's
a
really
really good
not
title
Baby
for the
Yoda,
episode.
which is true.
It's not Baby Yoda.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba.
Stab
The Baby
Bill.
Yoda Show.
Stab Bill.
Dude,
This is the way.
This
Yeah.
is the way.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the way. All right. Well, I wanna say first off, my biggest issue with the movie Rise of Skywalker was the fact that they lifted that X-wing out of the seawater after how many years it had
Yeah,
been
how
sitting there,
waterproof are X-Wings?
right?
anyway?
And not only that, but the front door of Luke's hut was made with a panel off of that very X-wing.
So
Oh,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
brought- I mean,
So he's cannibalized part of the X-wing to
it couldn't
Make
have
his
been
hut.
as waterproof as we think yet.
yet.
Yeah.
I mean, well, technically, anything that can go to space can go into water.
Actually, they're two different
Yeah,
pressure.
those out there,
It's
yeah.
like one forces pressure
It's opposite
outward,
pressures.
one resists pressure inward, and it's like they're actually two different. So
That-
a spaceship should be able to handle about 1 atmosphere of pressure.
We should ask Charles because he's an
No,
engineer.
he's right. He's right. In
the
general,
light side of the force
In general.
has
Yeah.
many
You don't,
powers.
you don't just put
Someone
wings on a submarine and send it into
Yeah.
space.
Right, right. So the
Right.
sea view from
Natural.
voyage to the bottom of the sea, that little flying sub would never have worked.
Well, it wasn't
You
at the
just
bottom of the
dated
sea.
yourself,
It was
sir.
about
I know that reference.
15
I
feet
do.
underneath it when you looked at it, because she could look over.
Yeah, I
and
know and see it.
But
I know
still,
it wasn't
it's
really
underwater.
that deep, but still, yeah, it's surround. And I mean, maybe it was airtight when he lowered it in there, but the engines are going to be exposed
Well, I heard
to
that,
a certain
like,
degree,
serious
right?
check-
Like, assume the technology at that point is more resistant to.
Well, the
seawater?
original
All types of
VW.
But if you're
like that.
cannibalizing,
But no, the
Right, if
original
you're ripping panels off
VWs
and
used to
stuff.
be able to float.
Well, I mean,
What
it
did?
was just like the
VWs.
decorations,
Bugs?
really.
oh, VW
Yeah,
bugs.
the original bugs could float. It's like,
Ah. So it was like a amphibious vehicle.
Well, I mean, so
it didn't really have propulsion per se,
Oh.
but it could float. But so it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you know, if
If they
German
had a paddle.
automotive technology can
They
do
had
it,
the
I
lake.
imagine that galaxy far, far away could make a.
well, Bill's
waterproof.
just jumping in and kicking off into
Wow.
one of the bigger things that I think when we were all discussing this offline is, did this Star Wars go too far expecting us to just roll with the plot? Because I mean, every movie's got stuff where you have to suspend disbelief to stay in the movie, but did they go too far? Because like that was your moment that you were taken out of the movie.
Right.
My moment came much earlier, when they even though they had the captain's medallion to get onto the starship where Chewie was, the minute because every other time that they have tried to storm one of those ships in every other movie, they had to have an exact plan, cover, all this stuff. They just Leroy Jenkins.
They did. Leroy Jenkins said, "We're getting on the ship and we're gonna figure it out."
And I'm just like, no.
None of the stormtroopers were like fans of the original like rebellion actions. It's like, hey, why is a captain flying the Millennium Falcon? That's not the Yeah, it is. Look.
I know.
But no, they
Pointing
weren't
out
on the
little
Millennium.
details.
They weren't on the Millennium Falcon when they started that ship.
Right,
They were
that's right.
still in the old ship that somehow was
one
running
that
from the
was
desert
sitting in the middle of the desert for 30 years
and hadn't been
open.
scavenged.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's
By
like,
Jawas or
Because
sand.
Poe just opened the door. It's like, press the button. There it is.
And the lights come on. And
Yeah, let's start her up.
But it wasn't 40 years
Well, at least
because
they're
it had to be
consistent
as
on
at
ships sitting around
minimum
for a while.
20. However
20.
old Rey is.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
that was the ship she was on.
because it has to be after the first trilogy, I think.
Yeah.
The middle trilogy.
Yeah, it had to because that was the ship Rey remembered when she was a kid being dropped off.
But I mean, look at today. Look at all the planes we store in the desert.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they
really
don't
fly.
work.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, yeah.
right. But it's dry there. You wouldn't have to worry about rust like you would under the sea.
Well, you're assuming that it's like made out of any sort of iron alloy.
Wow,
Right.
I know you're trying to make a point. I'm just don't know exactly what it is.
I don't either.
It's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But why did the captain's medallion? She was mad at Poe, and then less than 60 seconds later, she gave up her dream, which was that coin, that medallion, gave to him.
Well, she was mad at him, but she still loved him.
No,
So-
because then that was actually one of my favorite parts of the movie. Because then when he would have been like, "Hey," she would have been
Yeah.
like, "Hey," except she was like, "Nope,
Right.
not even a little bit."
Well, maybe she was just trying to string him along a little bit.
I mean, that was her way off planet. And in fact, how did she get off planet? Because she ended up off planet.
Well, she still had a ship. Her thing was she was going to use it to get through the barricades to go to a part of the system that was being blockaded.
And I mean, once you officially like start joining the rebellion, what do you care for the?
Well, yeah, but the barricade when they left destroyed the planet.
No, the barricade was to another part of the system, not just that planet. Like because you have to. This movie, I think, depended too much on you really listening and then really looking at the details.
It wasn't gonna hold your hand. Through the
Right.
No, because like when he said when the Emperor said I built Snoke and actually Kylo Ren's walking through there, you see a tank of clones of Snoke.
So
If you looked,
Right.
like, here's my thing. Why build Snoke? Like, why would
Puppet.
you want that horrible goblin running things
Exactly.
for you? It's just like, well, I'm an ugly, horrible old man.
I
You
feel
can't have the galaxy run by Kylo Ren.
If
him.
JJ had done the second movie, I think we would have had a different answer than the one we got.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't have had Snoke.
No, we would still have Snoke, or because he made Snoke.
I don't think if Rian Johnson had run it, we might have got an explanation like where he came from.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have just been like a clone, one of a bunch.
But see,
That's
that's continuity. It's like no one's paying any attention to continuity. No one seems to care in the Star Wars
To
universe.
put that extra effort.
They've got
5 minutes of film time to
5
wrap
minutes,
it in or
yeah,
something.
or
yeah.
a meeting before you shoot. It's
Yeah.
like 5 minutes.
And if you've got clones of Snoke, why do you even have the Emperor reveal himself to come out of the shadows? Why don't you just have Snoke go, ha ha ha?
yeah,
Clone of
like
Snoke.
it felt like they missed a really momentous moment from the start when it says, when the credits started going and you see voice of terror, the Emperor has spoken, from across the universe. Like, I would have loved to have seen that reaction.
I was waiting
You
for
know?
Jar Jar.
Darth
Like,
Banks.
that emotional reaction, like
Well,
all
I mean,
the
it's just he
sacrifice,
should-
all the death, and Palpatine
It
is
would've made it
still
worth
alive.
it.
How
Yeah.
that would have struck Leia, like Chewie, everybody. Like we were robbed of that. I feel like.
Yeah,
And-
I agree with that.
Well, I don't know how like anyone in a galaxy far, far away like took it seriously. They don't have deep fakes.
Right.
They've
right.
got lightsabers, but they don't have
I mean-
deep fakes.
I mean, if today we were to hear a broadcast across the planet that presumably came from Osama bin Laden, would we all be freaked out, or would we think this is a fake? Right?
But this is also a universe that somehow could, within 20 or 30 years, think Jedis are legends.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they-
it's like they don't
Yeah.
have history books apparently. It's all oral
apparently.
traditions.
Everyone's
Yes.
too busy
the
scrounging in the
holocrons
desert.
are
Yeah.
locked up.
No, here's my problem. I think it was the same psychological trick as what was done. There was no advancement in the... Because we've already dealt with Luke Skywalker taking on the Emperor and Father.
Yeah.
Okay. And this isn't even... So the only difference is maybe this is her lover or whatever. What's his name?
Kylo
Ren.
Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have been better if, rather than the Emperor guy, that it was her mother in charge of everything. And we got some,
Some more parallel.
yeah.
No,
It's just, Mom, do I have to join the dark side?
You put on your black robes and you come to dinner with Grandpa Palpatine.
yeah. Like all those cloaked figures, I don't think they were supposed to be real people. I think they were supposed to be spirits of previous Sith.
I was wondering about that.
Like, because if
Yeah.
you notice, when the Emperor died, they all fell away. The robes started falling.
Well, and again, it's a failure of building in something.
Because they didn't have the
For that.
time.
Well, they didn't have the time, and they're also just trying to close a chapter. So, like,
yeah.
if they explain some more, then it's like, well, now we can write another trilogy.
I mean,
or something like
yeah,
that.
every
So were they all
author's been
Force
there.
ghosts?
Just like
I
you're
think
tired
so.
of this book, you need to finish this one out
Right.
right now.
Damn the
Who cares if
details.
it makes sense? Then move on to
if
something
this,
else.
if this was the plan, they should have had a fourth movie.
No, and if
It's
before
like just,
You can't do Star Wars movies in fours. That's against the rules.
before our audience unsubscribes to our channel because they're railing against us for bashing Star Wars, it's not that we didn't like it, because I think we all found it entertaining.
Oh,
We
yeah, I
all
loved
enjoyed it. It's like nostalgia. It's a warm, cozy blanket. Star Wars of our childhood.
it's the best
But-
possible ending of a 40-year,
Yes.
nine
Yeah, to
movie,
your point
earlier,
yeah.
non-continuity monitored franchise. we could
For what it
possibly
was,
hope
how
for.
where it ended up, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Can
I'm
you
happy
pick
to
it?
see
Yes.
where we're gonna go. I want to see
Right.
where we go from. And if Favreau, is that how you?
John-
Favreau.
Favreau.
Yeah.
Favreau.
Yeah.
If Favreau's vision is the way this is gonna go, I'm excited.
Because, I mean, in contrast to the Star Wars movie, which was entertaining, but maybe not necessarily the best in the storyline representation, because they had to go so fast. Because Aaron's not even a fan, and he was like, wow, this was just like nothing but in your face, rolling,
Yeah.
rolling, rolling.
It was
Mandalorian-
from the beginning, just boom.
They had the right amount of disbelief. You were never kicked out of the story from like something too crazy, and you had beloved character death that made it still feel
and
real.
Maybe that's where it needs to go in terms of where the Star
Yes.
Wars universe is. A bunch of different short stories in different parts of the galaxy with different stories, as opposed to trying to come up with some epic trilogy
Yeah.
that has a story that's too long to be told in,
See,
in
I
3
think I'll
movies.
always be a little disappointed in that, because I've been given a lot of thought as to why I've been disappointed in the other Star Wars. And so, because I remember when Return of the Jedi hit, I was in the 5th grade, and that's right about the time you start to realize that your own father isn't a superhero. So the Return of the Jedi for me was just like, I think it actually brought in the idea, oh, your parents aren't perfect.
Oh, wait, your parents evil.
Yeah, well,
You
Not
have
only are
to
they not perfect, they
overthrow
could be
your
like the
parents.
well,
worst person.
yeah, and it hit right before that period of a child's, right before the 6th grade, where you go, hey, wait, my parents are kind of whatever they are, you know. You start doing a more honest assessment. And the fact that Star Wars never advanced, Star Wars never advanced to like some other, because always, to me, the same
It
story
didn't
over.
grow.
It didn't grow. I grew, it didn't.
Well,
Yeah.
it didn't necessarily grow because... Not grow. Because I felt like by going with Rey, choosing the character they did, where it's a woman more obsessed with growing and for herself and saving others than pursuing a romantic interest. Like, yeah, obviously she cared about Kylo Ren, but she wasn't going to sacrifice her mission and figuring out herself first. and I think that was a nice change.
Yeah, I can see
Well,
that. This
I've-
movie was brutal on shippers, man. It's like it teased them all day long and didn't give them anything. Man. It's like it was hard on the shippers. I feel bad for them.
I heard a review that was talking about how the overarching theme of this entire trilogy was giving up or refusing legacy.
Yeah,
So,
I can see
and
that.
in a way that this was also kind of, the trilogy was also kind of maybe introverting some of the legacies that we expect out of Star Wars. Like, Rey spent the first 2 movies searching for her legacy, and in the 3rd movie found out that her legacy was something that she didn't want, so she rejected it.
Yeah.
Finn was a stormtrooper who, like, his legacy is supposed to be dispensable.
Right.
Cannon fodder?
Yeah, cannon fodder, and like in Rian Johnson's movie, Rose has him reject that to, like, makes him realize that no, you should not just be a dispensable, like, suicide
Disposable,
trooper.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd movie, we had everyone rejecting legacies
Yeah.
and creating their own. So this is kind of like Star Wars is kind of in the process of creating its own.
The one thing.
Recreating its own legacies. Like, you don't have to be this, we can be other things.
The one thing that has kept me up nights since I saw the movie.
The one thing.
The one thing that has kept me up since seeing the movie is I want to know who the woman was that married Palpatine.
I doubt marriage would have necessarily been involved with
You
Palpatine.
don't think?
He was the emperor. It's
Well,
that's
well,
a fair
was
point.
he,
Concubines for days. Huh?
Yeah.
Like,
I
he
mean, it's
probably...
like, yeah.
like,
That was
he
suggested
started
to more
off
people
as
like
the...
Rey randomly
He
out
started
of
off
the
as a
universe.
senator.
Yeah, the senator for Naboo, so he probably had a wife
Had
of
a
a
Naboo
political...
People would assume, yeah.
Yeah, a political marriage or something like that. Just to take with him to
I want to know who Rey's grandmother is,
You
and why we don't know anything about her.
I probably find she was ultimately a means to an end. I don't think that
They
there'd be-
barely really introduced us to Rey's parents.
Yeah.
Right.
But so why? I don't know if they had time. Really.
Yeah, I know.
No, if they don't even have time to adequately set up all of the things.
I mean, it
we've
would have been
talking
nice
up
just
to
they're
to
not gonna
see
spend
her
any
at
time
some
on that.
point, maybe in the earlier films with Palpatine as a senator, just to show that he actually had a wife or something.
Well done, Bill. You found the one piece of Episode 9 trivia that absolutely no one else is talking about. Well done. You found something because you think the fanboys would have exhausted everything.
I think
But
what
you,
I think what
You
Bill
found
is
one.
Okay.
suggesting here is a new show, kind
new
of on
show.
the scale of The Mandalorian,
Yes.
but maybe a comedy, keeping up
Yeah.
with the
Real
Palpatines.
Housewives of the Senate. So, oh my God, like
Real
he's just never
Housewives of
home. And
Palpatine?
why isn't he paying attention to our son? He's with this Anakin kid all the time, and I can't stand it. I mean, our boy, he may not be the best fighter or politician, but he's got talent, and he's
And
just
what's
never
the-
home to see it.
And what's with all
Lisa,
the
know what you
fascination?
mean.
What's with all the fascination on black clothing?
No, she finds the black robe in
yeah,
his
there you
closet.
go.
Yeah.
She's like, "What is this?
Is this women's robes? I don't. What do you need to tell me?
Are you a Sith? Is this a Sith robe? You told me you were done with that it was just your grandpa's
Passing
thing."
fancy.
That's where that goes. Get on that, YouTube. I'm sure you can do something with that.
Sean Favreau, we have ideas.
Oh my
This
God! And then
is-
there's Padme in the background, like married but trying not to show her baby butt, just randomly throwing up into like bags because of her pregnancy.
We, Padme,
This
we
is
really
fine.
need to hook you up with a good guy. Oh no, I'm
The baby kicks her, and she's just
fine.
like,
Yeah.
like force stuff random. The force like randomly throws shit across the room when the baby's kicking her.
To my point, we can have a lot of different Star Wars universe spin-offs.
Yeah.
I'm excited. for
Potential's
that,
endless. Yeah.
I
Do
almost
you think
feel,
we'll see Rey again in future
Yes.
stuff?
I think
Be-
she'll be training Jedi at
'Cause-
some point. I've heard that.
Well, because we're gonna get more into the Mandalorian, I would hope before we're just not done with that. This is my theory. So, Rey's in the background as a teacher, Baby Yoda is young enough in the timeline that she could
You
ultimately.
called him Baby Yoda.
Oh
You
my
did.
God!
Yes!
I blame you.
Yes!
I blame you.
I blame
That's
him
funny.
for the Sean
Can we
thing.
get like a Baby Yoda jar?
God.
We
No,
can
we do need a Baby Yoda jar.
I
So
don't
when the
think we've ever
child,
had a non-episode where
this
we
is-
haven't.
the child, because like this was what the armorer gave the Mandalorian. She said, "You either find his people, or you adopt him and train him in our ways." What if he finds Rey to give the child to Rey?
But that
Making
doesn't
the
work
Yoda
time-wise.
warrior.
Merchandising.
I mean, he could be looking for
Yeah.
a really long time.
Well,
But
900 years.
No.
No, it's not Yoda. It's not. The
Well, but
baby's
it's
not
a- it's
Yoda.
a
It's not
same
really Baby
species.
Yoda.
No,
No,
it's
because
a
Yoda's
child.
dead. This
Yeah.
takes
This
place
is a child.
after
If
Yoda's
it's
death.
still a child after 50 years, will it still be a child in 20 years?
Yeah,
Probably.
it'd probably be
Yeah,
a
so-
teenager. It'd probably
Teenager.
When it
It's
gets
like,
to be
so-
100,
so-
it'll be a teenager.
Okay, you got to think about it in dog years because Yoda
All right.
Yoda lived to be
don't
1,000.
you mean like
Right. Yeah,
reverse
he did.
dog years?
But-
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
reverse
reverse
dog
dog
years.
years.
But if that's the case, then the time from the Mandalorian to the time where Rey's teaching is only, what, 20 years?
yeah, so,
I don't know that it would grow that much. If it's at 50 years, it still doesn't
Yeah,
talk.
it may not actually.
Yeah.
See,
but it'd be a starting point.
the
We don't
direction
know it doesn't.
I kind of hope they're taking it is I saw a piece of fan art of basically the child grown up but wearing like
I did see
Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
It's like,
Ooh, yeah.
Being a murder goblin.
I think you
Yes.
guys have all missed something about this kid, though.
Yeah.
Is this kid?
Oh,
is
do
all-
enlighten us.
Oh,
The
yeah, I
child.
will. I will.
Yeah.
This kid's already started to enjoy choking people.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is a dark side kid.
You think?
He's cute. He's cute. It's like all, you know.
But he's been
More or less
healing
like a
people
gremlin.
too.
well, I think there's
Force powers to heal.
The force
Just
has
don't
to
make
be
him mad, don't
only
make
one
him
way or
mad.
the other because he also healed way more people than he choked.
Well, we'll
Well,
see. But I think
But
he's.
shouldn't someone be
dark side
monitoring his
tendencies.
progress because
I mean,
the
that's
dark
the
side is
Mandalorian.
seductive? You know, it's like the
Mhm.
Mando. You want a Mando actually supervising the force training of a
Use,
This could
use
be fun,
violence,
child.
but
This could
only
be
when you
fun.
need to.
This is why I like the meme of Mando taking a shot and there's Baby Yoda and he's like, "Take the shot, take it," and poof, murder.
I like it when my dad kills people.
the child has some Ewok tendencies, that's for sure. little tiny murder
I
Yoda.
think he's murder Yoda.
Or
Yeah.
Yoda. Yeah.
No, but I mean, and how did he develop? Because George Lucas, he purposely never explained Yoda's background. What if, and they're so high, like, what if there can only be, like, 2 at a time, a male and a female? Or
Of the
something
Yoda
like that.
species.
Yeah, and then, like, because one fell away, a new one has popped up.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Maybe.
I mean,
we-
they found
kind
him
of like
somewhere.
a balance thing. But I'd like to know what happened the first 50
I
years.
think if he wasn't
Yeah.
dark,
Yeah.
we should.
Where
Unless
was
it was
he,
in
though?
cryo,
Where
and that's
where's
why
he
it's
been
still
all
a
this
baby.
time?
Yeah.
Could be.
He could be 50 years old, but actually still only an infant because of cryo. Like, because they've
Yeah,
been
frozen in carbonite.
hiding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hidden. We don't know.
Yeah, the idea of a 50-year-old infant is kind of silly. But yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So
They need to get somebody like Stephen King to write the next.
Oh, God, please.
Yeah. If you want to go
Baby
that
Yoda.
route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or Quentin Tarantino.
There have
Yeah.
been
Well,
a,
couldn't wait for anything.
there have been a few
don't bury the Yoda in that cemetery. You might not like what comes back.
there have been a few Star Wars horror novels. It's like horror set in the Star
There
Wars
has been? I
universe.
never saw those.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
See if I can find them. Really
But I
quick.
think the excitement and the satisfaction from the Mandalorian, I'm gonna say was more than what the Star Wars gave me. Like Star Wars was great, it was entertaining again, but the development and the maturity that I felt like I got out of the Mandalorian was better.
Do you remember Futurama?
Do
Yeah.
I remember Future?
I love
Sir.
Futurama. They took it off the air. I was mad. They brought it back. And the very last season was so mediocre that I didn't miss it. And it's like I almost feel that this, like they wanted the Skywalker saga to go away, so they gave us something that was so mediocre that we really, it's okay, but we don't mind seeing it go away. It's
Right.
okay.
We're going to
Now-
wrap up this storyline, but now we're also going to present you with
Yes,
this.
and then
this is
yeah,
what we want to do.
We've got new things that are
Right.
going to be. Now this is done, and you know we We did. You can't point at anything specifically and say, we disappointed you, but
And then we're gonna take the A-Team script and add a baby.
yeah, they basically did. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Adventures in babysitting and bounty
I
hunting.
didn't.
In a
Yeah.
galaxy
Yeah.
far, far away.
Yeah.
I actually had to force myself. I kept falling asleep.
On the
Just be honest.
Mandalorian.
Just
On the Mandalorian's awesome, man.
the kids that were watching stayed. I mean, they watched the little kids. They watched the whole series one night. Just captivated me, though. I was out, and then out at the next one. I couldn't. It's just. Oh.
Do you think?
I watched it fun. I had to go
Yeah.
back though and go. Okay.
Do you guys
We're
think
not-
that the
we're not-
child
here's some
will
coffee.
continue to be a part of the show as it goes on, or do you think at some point he'll
Well,
pass
now
the
That's a good
child
question.
on
Is this
somewhere?
about the Mandalorian or is this
Yeah.
about the child?
Right.
And you get this
Yeah,
like, surprise hit in the Mandalorian with this baby Yoda.
I was like,
Oh, there's
all
nothing
this had to
surprise
be
about
shot
that.
ahead of time, right? It's like they shot him and then they showed him because I was like thinking this is like a one-off, and then there was 2 episodes with the child, but now it's like
All of them.
somehow now the baby child is bound to the Mandalorian. He's got a
Yeah.
responsibility in this. I think this is the rest of the show.
That's the main
this is-
plot of the show.
This is the direction this is going to go.
I was kind of expecting that the Mandalorian would, as the last episode was evolving, I was seeing in my mind that he was going to have this entourage of IG-88,
Yeah, I miss him.
And-
I liked him a
IG-11
lot.
and
I
or
the
liked him.
11,
Yeah.
whatever.
I want to talk about it.
And
I wanted him to
the
stay.
robot, and I thought the woman was going to stay with him,
Kara.
so it'd be Kara, the robot, the Mandalorian, and
And the little guy.
and the child.
Ugnaught.
Yeah.
And now you've got
The-
a
Oh,
full
yeah, and the
cast, a
Ugnaught.
full
Yeah,
group of
yeah.
people that rely
I
on
can't
each
remember
other
his
for
I have
whatever
spoken-
adventures
Yes,
they have going
Perfect
forward.
right,
modern
right.
family.
Almost like
Yeah,
a
great.
a D&D
Yeah.
troop or something. You know, they go on together and they help each other get
Well,
through this.
we only have one season, a few
Yeah.
chapters. There's still, they're
Still
still
time.
building it out and
Yeah,
I mean,
getting
you-
a feel for it.
But
You've
we
still
know
got the cranky grandpa
IG-11's
character.
gone,
Yeah.
and the
sad
Ugnaughts
about that.
dead. I like that Ugnaught character. I was sad to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad.
And it was Nick
That-
Nolte. It was crazy seeing Nick
know.
Nolte in that role.
Yeah.
There was a lot of surprise
And then they
stars
can
in
change
it.
the name to Robinson as they hide out.
So,
Right.
but I mean, we got a couple good reveals in the Mandalorian, especially with the Darksaber at the end,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
And-
pretty nice to see.
bringing the So the show is the Mandalorian, and the main thrust is going to be what he does with the child, but we've got the Darksaber coming back in, which could lead to a renaissance of the Mandalorians, just because there's that whole background story of what happened on Mandalore and
those
how the Empire-
one who holds the Darksaber rules Mandalore, doesn't he?
I don't think so. From what I was reading, it's a very important cultural artifact. It was from the first Mandalorian who became a Jedi, and it was their lightsaber.
Pre Vizsla or his father?
What?
Vizsla.
Vizsla?
Yeah.
I think it was Vizsla
Yeah.
who became This is all clone stuff that happened. It was revealed in the
yeah,
Clone
well,
Wars and Rebels, and I haven't gotten to watch all of those two yet. But I did read up on the Darksaber and its history a bit after seeing that last episode.
Well,
But it is very important, and at times it was a very important relic for the Mandalorians. Other times, it wasn't so much.
Now I rule Mandalore.
well, the thing is,
We can all see your face.
Light it
You're not
up.
a Mandalorian. Put that over your head and we'll talk.
yeah. The thing is, Mando wasn't racially from Mandalore or
Yeah.
species-wise
Right.
from Mandalore, and that's where there's
It's not a race. It's a creed.
well, it
Was
depends.
that
It
new?
could
Is
depend
like-
on the
I don't
sect
think so.
Yeah.
because some
No, I mean,
sects
was it explained in canon?
they may raise Mandalorians, and other sects they may go off of foundlings
It's all about sex.
Yes.
with the CT, not the
I
X.
better do it this time.
I know, right? Because I mean, it sounds like it's almost a war religion, and they have different ways of doing things. Like his particular sect, you never remove your helmet.
Right.
That's their
Yeah,
particular belief.
They
But
might be
other
the
They may be-
fundamentalists of,
yeah.
of the Mandalorian species or race or creed or whatever.
guild, whatever.
Guild.
Yeah.
Well,
Analysts.
post Clone Wars, things are pretty bad for Mandalore and Mandalorians in general because they had a big civil war. There were the true Mandalorians and the death. Oh gosh, what were they? I'd have to look it all up. But yeah, they had a huge civil war. The Jedi didn't help out at all, which is
Wasn't
why they were
this-
called
the-
enemy
the
sorcerers in
Darksaber
this.
was actually constructed to fight Jedi, wasn't it?
No, it was constructed. It was the first Mandalorian Jedi's lightsaber,
That does.
and he made
Oh
it.
yeah.
With,
Okay.
he made it
Circle
with
back
a
to
rare
the-
black
the-
kyber crystal.
The ships in Star Wars surviving and all of that, because you put something in my head here that the Star Wars does kind of have a relic fetish. Like all these relics survive. They don't,
Like that's
They all
like that
do.
ship in the desert.
like the ship in the desert.
Gee,
And-
George Lucas was very big on mythology, and relics are a big part of mythology. So yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
and
that-
everybody's looking for the old, yeah.
Everyone's always like, that's how the Sith keep re-rising every time after the Jedi obliterate them. Is somebody finds some old Sith writings and
Frickin' Horcruxes.
yeah,
Might
basically.
as well be like that same type of concept.
What was that crystal that they used to navigate?
Oh yeah, I was just
That-
thinking
that
about
was
those.
a Horcrux
The
of
way
of the
crystals.
Sith,
Yeah.
Or the wayfinders.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
wayfinders
Sith
is similar
wayfinders.
type of
Like,
thing.
okay, why do they have to be wayfinders? Like, I was thinking about this like as I rewatched The Force Awakens, is they've got a map to how to get to Luke. Is like, why is it a map? Like, a map only like works if you like got a start point and an end point, and then you have to follow a way to get there. But if he's just at a location in the galaxy, why don't you just have that?
Well, maybe you have to navigate through a special route.
Yeah, like the same thing with to get to
That's
the
not how
planet.
space works.
That's
Well, it could be if
Well,
there's like
Again, Star
Castle-
Wars.
Yeah.
asteroid
Sort of
fields in the way.
Kessel
or-
Run, man. It's like you need to do some things to get, you know.
See, now, that has been explained in lore. I don't think that George Lucas had thought of that at that
Well,
point when,
now-
I
now
did the Kessel Run
Solo-
in less than 12 parsecs.
Solo is canon now, so
Yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
explained long before Solo, like the
It did-
movie.
It just seemed like it was set up so that you'd be visited by 3 ghosts before you can. reach your
yeah.
3 Force ghosts. Like the biggest change I thought in this, in like that Rian Johnson in this movie made, was that Force ghosts could affect the real world with their
Right.
Force abilities. And now I'm just like, where were you, lazy assholes?
Right.
Yeah, actually,
Right.
yeah.
It's like any one of you could have appeared and just like
Right.
screwed with Darth Sidious's life support equipment.
But then the same would have to be true for Sith ghosts.
No, because they don't. They apparently don't work in the same way. They inhabit someone.
Well, no,
Like,
because they
that's
were
their
all standing
afterlife.
in the
I think that
The
was because of
stands-
Sidious, though. Like he was
Didn't we
the
review this
focal
before?
point
But
for
yeah,
all
no,
that.
I found that whole thing annoying, and then Luke,
Yeah.
the good guy, goes, "Yeah, I was wrong about everything."
Well, I mean, that was the point of that was like episode 8 is Luke realizing he's wrong about everything.
But here's the thing: there are places that the positive side of the Force cannot inhabit, like that hole she fell through. That was all dark
Fair.
side. So maybe they can't go into every place.
But they can go other places. Like why didn't once Obi-Wan got Force
Unless-
Ghost, why didn't he just like stick around and just like start turning dials on the Death Star?
Unless
Right.
it
Yeah.
takes them feeding off someone else who has the fort, like who's there like a conduit.
It's more of a presence thing.
Like there's another Force user there who acts like a bridge.
So a forced
Yeah.
parasite.
Not so much a Force parasite, but a conduit that
vampire.
allows them to come forth.
Okay, so
What
Rey.
what about this? The whole premise of Anakin turning the dark side was he was afraid of Padme dying, but if he could heal her, then what's the point?
well, but she had
He
but
was
she had
never
already-
shown how to do that.
Well, and she had died.
Neither were we, apparently.
She had died sometime, maybe some days before he had been put into his new suit to
Well,
sustain.
I think what he's saying is like if there, like if he's worried about her.
The
dying
visions
on
he
the
saw
nursing
that
table.
drove him to do all
There
the
was I saw a like a kind of a what if story of like what if Anakin had like gone that route and like realized that if he went like this way he would end up destroying everything he loved, and what if he went the other way and just like raised younglings and became a healer, and it was a far different like they envisioned a far different universe. Like
There's also his broom boy hasn't come back yet, right?
no, he did.
No.
He was.
So there's this possibility that the Force might actually, there might be a group of people that want to do something
I feel
practical.
I feel that JJ kind of retconned.
Yeah,
Broom boy.
clean latrines, you know.
In what way?
He at least didn't feature him.
No, right.
It's like, and it kind of
He could still be out there though.
He kind of reinforced the legacy of
he went back to-
heredity in terms
Yeah.
of transmitting the Force by going that Palpatine route.
Although, look at Anakin Skywalker. He was created by the midichlorians, right?
Which was actually claimed that Palpatine did that. So
But the new group says the official storytellers say no, that Palpatine did not directly do that
Yeah.
in their world.
which they came out after everyone started pointing incest at Star Wars again. It's like more incest in Star Wars, yes. And now it's like, oh no. But it's like ever since the prequels came out, we've all assumed that the Emperor had something to do with Anakin's conception.
But I mean, if he manipulates the Force to create it, it's not the same thing as being by blood. So it's not his father. So I don't know. The thing is, so my thought was, okay, so if you look at the timeline, Anakin would have been created when Palpatine was rising to power anyway. And he had his Sith Lord. Like, what if that, like, Anakin was the direct response to Palpatine? Because they knew, and it just took
Right.
3 generations to correct. Like, Palpatine being a natural, very talented Force user goes to the dark side because you see it in Rey, her natural abilities. And so it was the Force basically correcting the corruption of Palpatine himself. And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
you don't need him anymore.
They always talk about that balance. So
Yeah,
at
so-
some point the Force probably
So
just
it's the
steps in
midichlorians'
and-
way of ensuring balance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
in
now
some
and
way.
then once Rey is alive, like in one part, Kylo Ren's giving up his life to save her, but also now we don't need the Skywalkers anymore.
Right.
Palpatine is actually fully gone, and the Force needs to be rebalanced.
And I like the fact that she has a yellow lightsaber at the end rather
Yeah.
than a blue or a red
Yeah, her own
or
her
green.
own lightsaber.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like because I think the yellow is supposed to be like Jedi Guardians or something that sort of protect the balance of the Force or something like that. If I read that right. So, but so maybe she'll train a new cadre of Jedis that are more along the lines of like a gray Jedi that maybe walk the line.
Yeah, I feel that with the way that it ended, they can go whatever real direction that they want.
Yeah.
Whether
Mhm.
that's no longer doing movies and she's more featured in the series, or
Right.
as cameos going forward as a trainer,
Right.
something like that.
Well, I heard
So-
they're just gonna sit on her for a while. It's like go like they did with the original actors. They let decades pass.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they-
yeah.
they're all set up to follow the kung fu. Right. She got a little bit angry. She killed the Emperor. Now
When
she's
you can take the pebble from my hand, you'll be ready.
Exactly.
So, according to Ultra Sabers, yellow lightsabers are associated with the Jedi Sentinels.
Oh, Sentinel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't
And-
assume she's gonna be a moisture farmer on Tatooine. But,
No.
but how come no one took over the
The Jawas got it.
relics.
yeah?
Maybe it's full of ghosts and they're
Maybe the
scared.
ghosts.
Maybe a disruptive moisture
Force
technology has come along in the meantime, and
Made it obsolete.
Right.
yeah, nobody wants to be a moisture farmer now because can make water out of thin air for free.
Right.
Or maybe there had been people running it and Rey has just paid them off and bought it.
Well, or without the Empire, there won't be any tariffs.
Right.
Just import the water. Sounds
The
a
thing
lot
is, I
easier.
feel like she would have been given enough reward that she could buy a water farm off
Although
of
it looked
somebody.
pretty disused,
It
full
did.
of sand and.
Well, I
It
think
did.
like one of the most interesting things for Star Wars to focus on from here on out is like where does the galaxy go from here?
Yeah.
like the First Order's gone, the New Republic's gone, and the Emperor Palpatine
are
is
they
finally
really gone?
gone
Yeah,
and no
yeah.
longer pulls
well,
strings.
look at it this way. It's kind of like the whole thing with the end of Episode 6. They destroy the second Death Star. There's still like thousands of Empire ships out there. It's like, and we all just assumed it's over. None of the First Order ships were destroyed in this one. It was the Emperor's personal fleet that was destroyed in Episode 9.
But they've taken heavy losses
Yeah,
too.
but there's still
Yeah, but there
probably the
presumably be years of fallout.
But-
It's not
and
like
they-
the army. It's not like the rest of the army
Yeah.
just all of a sudden disappeared.
No.
There's still a military force to be reckoned with.
And I mean,
But-
that's
But like by the time of the end of the Return of the Jedi, they had been using nothing but clones. The impression you get by the end of this current series is that they're having to conscript children because they don't have enough time to raise clones. Or maybe they've lost the doctors and the technology who were building these clones for them. That's why you heard so many female stormtroopers. And when you look at Finn's situation and that other character he meets near Endor, is that they're being conscripted. They're not growing their own soldiers like they used to.
Yeah.
So I imagine now that they don't have to be conscripted anymore, they're probably going to go and try and live their own lives.
Star
again.
Wars has always been for me kind of a hard. As I became older, the fact that the rebels were a little more states' rights and against the centralized government, and that I don't think I could ever make sense of that. Their world seems to be upside down too.
So are you saying they're Republicans or Confederates?
Well,
seem to
don't you
be-
think the rebels are sort of like Confederates?
no. I think the rebels were always fighting to restore the Republic,
yeah.
not
Or maybe
Separate-
just
not
separate from
separatists.
the Empire.
not separate from the Empire.
Like they were against the Empire far more than they were like,
They
no,
wanted the
system
Republic
right.
still.
Because
So maybe.
Dooku was really in charge of the separatists, right?
Yeah.
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 Unfortunately, it's like they may have won against the Empire and the evils, but now you're going to have all these warlords and separatists.
Right.
And I mean, like, it's not going to be a perfect universe, but
What-
then again, even with the Republic, it never was.
I mean, welcome back to the extended universe, because that's what that's what the first like 15 to 20 books were about.
Do you think Thrawn could rise from this?
It depends on if Thrawn is still around. Like,
Well, I mean, it's like
I know that he was in what Rebels.
Mhm.
Yeah. So did
And
they
who is
just?
we
did
don't. I don't know how long his species lives.
So who is Thrawn?
Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Yeah, Grand
Grand
Admiral
Admiral
Thrawn from the EU Extended Universe. It's like one of the most awesome characters that Disney ever spawned.
Well, no, Disney didn't spawn
How
that.
dare you?
Well, it was. All right,
They
you're
kept him
right, you're right.
around from
One of the most awesome characters Lucas ever spawned.
Yeah.
Well, what is he?
He is the only Grand Admiral in the old Imperial fleet who is not a human. He's a race known as the Chiss that has
Blue
like an
with red
all
eyes,
white
yeah.
face,
They're
red
blue.
eye. They're blue, whatever. I thought he had like just a pasty white face, but
Pasty
he was a
pastel blue.
genius tactician, and he got like I haven't
there
seen.
he
There you
is.
go.
Yep, there he is.
Oh yeah, you're right. But
Well,
I don't know what happened with him in Rebels because I haven't seen it yet, but I want to because he is one of my favorite characters from the extended universe.
Okay.
Well, in science fiction, any character that's not human can live forever. So it's like, you know,
Well,
until dictated later.
but was he killed during Rebels? That I don't know.
Well,
And I suppose I could look it up here.
Would
but-
Thrawn be something that you would be interested in seeing?
Oh, of course.
Exactly. A lot of Star Wars fans would flock
And
to see that.
I mean,
so
they
it's
could
like-
literally do like an heir to the Empire kind of trilogy now, just like modified to pick up.
Yes, he could be the one that ropes together all the remaining First Order forces and command.
Which is what he does in the original book trilogy where he appeared. Is he comes out of the Emperor had sent him out into the far reaches to fight something or other, and then the second Death Star got destroyed, and he comes back and
Shout out to
starts-
Timothy Zahn for writing that. Yeah.
starts rebuilding the Imperial fleet and nearly topples the fledgling New Republic.
Like, I'm wondering if part of the merchandising that they're going to do off of these series is all these gaps and holes that the fan base have noticed. They're going to fill in with comics like what they did with Firefly. You know, they filled in a lot of storyline and details people wanted with the Firefly comic books.
They've already been doing this.
So,
like, there are Star Wars comics.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. They're just continue to do that and push those out. So it's like you have to go across now. You're going to have to go across the comic books, the movies, the Disney Plus, the cartoon, and maybe even the video games to get the complete storyline. Like, you're going to have to engage every medium to get everything
Well, that's true of any number of properties now.
By the way, he's dead, Jim.
Oh.
Who, Chris? The Chris?
Thrawn.
Thrawn.
He's a
Chiss.
Chris.
Well,
Chiss.
He's dead.
No, this is a Chris.
I know, that's a Chris.
Chris.
So he's a Chiss. Chris is not a Chiss.
No, Chris is not a Chiss.
know.
Thrawn is a Chiss,
Thrawn is
not a
a
Chris.
Chiss.
Ah, gotcha. All right.
Well, I do believe he was killed in
What
the
just happened?
expanded universe, but
Kind of like the
expanded
difference
universe
between
doesn't
Sean and
exist anymore.
Seth.
And now Bill's gonna blame me. So
Seth
For
fell to the
somehow-
dark side, and it's somehow your
yeah,
fault.
somehow it's mine because
John drove Seth to the dark side.
And the first victim was Bill.
You're right, it was your fault.
That's right.
I guess it was my fault. It's like somehow I made Bill say that. So
That's
it's
right.
Like, yeah. So
All
But
right.
I just hope that, and I think we're all hoping that it goes the way of the Mandalorian. Whatever Star Wars does next, they need to not be afraid of character death. They need to not be afraid of hard scenes and storylines that may not please everyone. Because that's coming back to what you guys talked about last week in so many words, and I think we've talked about it online and
So
offline,
what
is
you're
that they tried to
saying
please too many people
is
with this movie.
Star Wars has to not be afraid of punching a baby.
Yes.
Oh, I agree with that. If you want adult, because the Mandalorian to me was sort of like I said, it was an 18 kids show. It was kids loved it, and I don't know. I feel like I've been there before.
I love the
loved it.
Mandalorian.
Well, that's
I
you
did too.
guys
I loved it. That was awesome.
need to.
I think he's saying we're all kids at heart.
Yeah. Well, but there weren't any huge
Charles
surprises.
is your adult Jenna.
Charles is the new Sean. Shut up, Sean.
Yeah, there wasn't enough
I just
Tarantino
saw
in this one.
the
That's all.
twitch in Seth's head, just like this.
I have
Is,
taken Sean from Seth and I've given it to Charles.
Yeah, but you know what would happen if you told me to shut up.
He shut up.
I wouldn't. Ever. I get louder.
You know what?
can we drop the Sean thing? Oh
No,
my
I
God.
just-
Thank you, Jenna.
I
Thank you.
I dropped it.
No, you
Bill-
didn't.
Yeah, I did. Bill's been the one that's been perpetuating this whole
No,
Sean
John's
thing.
got me so wound up.
Oh,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, there's nothing
great
we can do
cosplay
now.
ideas from the new Star Wars
Well,
and
were the
Mandalorian. I
original-
totally want to do Cara
Do
Dune.
we think the
Don't-
original
don't
Star
you
Wars
agree?
trilogy, the original
Pretty
one,
good.
that wasn't necessarily kid oriented. That was actually meant. That was an adult oriented.
I think it was especially with the Ewoks in the second one.
You mean third one?
Well, the
Or
first
third one.
sixth one?
The first one
Yeah.
wasn't
Right.
expected to be as much of a hit, and something like so. This happened with the original Batman too,
Yeah.
in that the first one was a hit, and the toys started selling,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Which
that's-
Lucas had exclusive control over.
yeah, and so once
yeah.
the toys became profitable, you see the second and the third movies becoming much more targeted.
Well, that's what I see the Star Wars as the very first Star Wars was meant as a Western for adults. Now and then as things happened, every time it becomes more and more child, especially the
It did.
first, second trilogy, whatever that.
Yeah.
The first three.
The first.
Starting off with Anakin as a child.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely
And
children
Jar Jar
oriented.
Binks.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I cringe every time.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch. I want it to be adult oriented.
Spaceballs
too.
called it out. Merchandising.
I agree
We had
with
a real
Charles.
money from the
I
movies
had
made.
hopes for the prequels. And it's like they did the Ewoks, and that was like I don't know about that. And then it's like they did the child movie, and it was like, so this is where we're going. This is the direction we're gonna take all this in.
But they did it right. They did it right because there was still a deeper, like adult,
It started
like
as a western,
adult,
and now we have the
including
Muppet Babies.
storyline, The Mandalorian.
So what do you think of Babu Frick in the movie? You think that was
We've come,
targeted towards
we've come
kids?
full circle. Yeah,
I
we're
think
right back.
we already talked about Babu Frick last
Babu
time.
Frick
Oh,
is Binksifying the Mandalorian, or no, I'm sorry, the
Rise of
episode 9 a
Skywalker.
little
You know
bit.
what I would love to see come out of this though, if they're gonna do the merchandising angle? I would love for them to put out robotics kits and things like that to build droids.
That would be
Like
cool, yeah.
to
Good time to do it. There's a lot out there.
I know,
They've got
because-
them out there. They're out there.
I mean, no, I don't see it promoted. I don't see like Aaron's
I
nephew.
built R2D2 last year.
You did?
But not just R2D2, like kits to build your own droids. Maybe you get something that's either a specific model or
I know
different
this.
ones.
I know what this is about. Jenna wants her own murder nanny.
Just to pet the kitties and tell them that they are good when I'm gone and traveling.
Jenna saw IG-88 and she was like, I
need
want
one of
one.
those.
I want one. I want one.
The
Right.
design
Maybe.
problems in building a bipedal robot go beyond anything I could possibly think of. It's like that's one of the biggest things that's holding up robotics is the fact that all of our technology is designed to be used by humans, but it's hard to mimic the human form. So I
General
don't
Dynamics,
know.
or is it General Dynamics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the company that's making. They've got videos out on YouTube of those bipedal robots. That
They do,
Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
bulky. They don't.
Expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive,
Very
and
expensive,
they show the robots doing some neat stuff, but then there's some really basic stuff that they simply can't do.
But there's some what are the tank tread designs where it's not legs, it's
That,
tread
yeah,
that
would
that
work,
has been effective.
What about the Robo Dogs?
You mean the kitten killer
Mhm.
tracks?
Those
that
are
just
pretty
roll right
horrifying.
over cats?
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, they even think they can make some robots that, feed off flesh that they'll be able to fuel off of biodegradable
Oh,
material.
good, Jenna.
Wow,
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
That's
That's
where we
great.
go
Let's-
wrong. Like,
let's
why
roll for
make it a
creepy.
thing?
Oh, that's a 3.
3.
Yeah.
Not very creepy.
No, but Elon Musk, he totally believes that those wars are coming. You'll need
It
a
was a creepy
strobe light
save.
to be able to even see them
We
because
failed.
they'll move that fast.
Elon Musk, like, he's all right, but I think we give him
Too much credit.
we
He's
give him
okay.
too much credit.
They're letting him build tunnels under LA.
which are failing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
But
not like, as a futurist, like not everything that comes out of Elon Musk's brain is a keeper.
no,
Yeah,
I would
but-
agree, but that's anybody. But I just think that if we really want to make the most out of this merchandising for the good of children and our failing school systems, let's get them excited about robotics from these movies because I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
this is a great
Agreed.
opportunity. I mean, like, let them
mean-
learn more about how to
Well,
make
not
their
just
own.
building it, but programming them to do things.
Yes,
as
Yeah.
well.
programming.
All of their jobs are going to be replaced by robots anyway. We might as well teach them how to care for them.
Well, that's where the
Right.
jobs are going.
Okay,
it's not
Andrew
so much
Yang,
you doing
thanks.
the work.
Oh,
It's you should be one who knows how to maintain and program and build
Yeah,
the
if you
robots or
want
whatever.
job
That's
security,
where the
yeah.
jobs are going. It's not
Yeah.
that they're going away.
But
It's
some of those are out there, though, by the way. I mean, that's just.
Those kits.
Yeah, because
It's Boston Dynamics.
But yeah.
Oh,
But that's what I thought. General
I
Dynamics.
know. I knew it wasn't General Dynamics, but I didn't
That's
think
we
of
did
it.
a
from Eureka.
programmable. We did a programmable R2D2
Yeah.
last year.
See,
Oh.
Charles knows how to.
How
So
big
when you
was
see
it?
something
Appease
like
his
that, you
robot
should actually
overlords.
buy it.
How big was it?
Well, it was only like this big,
Okay.
but we put it together and then you use the cell phone to
Drive it around.
Well,
have it. It was kind of a complicated little bugger, though.
Yeah.
I know, but just something simple, like something that they can make to program to be a remote.
Just saying it's there.
It's just But it's not promoted as much as like figurines
Right.
and blasters and Nerf guns that are meant to look
Well,
like
that's
Star
'cause
Wars.
All of those are cheaper though than
That's true.
robot
The
kits.
cost
Yeah.
of the robot kits.
Well,
is
and a
so
lot of
extreme
kids, I
now.
think, want to get stuff that's ready to go and ready to play with
Yeah,
now,
they don't have the
rather than.
patience. To,
Oh, I think you're
So,
misjudging kids.
yeah,
I think it's a
as-
lot of. I think it's a lot of parents.
Mm,
Yeah,
want to
as a
get-
Lego
get-
builder,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want the pile of Legos and the instructions to tell me how to make the spaceship.
Right.
So if I had if we had a situation like Jenna was talking about, and there was like a robot kit, that would have been like number one on my Christmas
with
wish list. But
detailed
my parents
directions,
never
right?
would have been able to afford that.
Right.
You wanted the detailed directions how to set it. It's like I saw Lego Movie 2, and it's like they during this movie the Legos would assemble themselves into things,
Right.
Mhm.
but it showed actually the brick numbers.
Yeah.
And
Right,
if
yeah.
you slow it down, you can actually build
Build it out
everything
using
in
the
there.
part
yeah.
numbers they give
Yeah.
you. Yep.
So the directions for making
There-
these things were like
The
on
Lego
the show.
movies
I'm
are
not.
awesome.
I'm not
I
Yeah, they
love
are.
them.
positive on it, but it has seemed to me that kids' toys that are science oriented are overpriced.
Yeah,
I
unfortunately.
mean, and there's to me it's a huge shame, like because I grew up with it. I had an erector set growing up.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, I don't know where it came
Well, they
from.
were made out of metal as opposed to plastic.
Maybe that's why you're an engineer today.
Oh, possibly. So yeah,
How
don't
are
get
you-
your kids an erector set then.
How are your erector bridges?
Yeah. It's, I
But
see
now-
like 5-year-old Charles like this bridge is gonna fail.
I wouldn't use this bridge.
Don't drive your
Talking to a
Hot
little
Wheels
Lego
over
man,
that one.
I wouldn't use that
But
bridge.
yeah,
if I were you.
but that's just the thing. So I had, and I actually think it was from because my parents didn't have money like that. So it would have been they picked it up at the Salvation Army or something. So it's a luck thing that I had an erector set.
Yeah.
But I look about every other year I go looking, and then I go, no, I can't mortgage the house. You know,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not going to do that. But, and I don't. You might say they're metal or but it's not. They're way more expensive than they should be, and that's because parents who care are going to have to pay more. And that's an unfortunate thing. That's
I remember for one Christmas, my parents got me a chemistry set, and I kept trying to make a bomb. That wasn't
Do,
very
do
effective.
you see
Did
my
your
surprise?
parents-
Do
have
you-
your parents
do-
ever
Right.
met you?
So
Typical. Oh, really?
Wait, if he did that when he was a kid, now that he has
access.
disposable income, Linda, how many bombs has he made?
We already know Bill's on a list. So
Like, I'm not
Yeah.
asking if he's built a bomb. I am assuming that he has. I want to know how many bombs that he has actually
that you're sitting on
made.
right now.
That's
Right.
what the Tesla coil is for. It's reusable.
Mhm.
It's like literally,
right.
you know,
It's a giant EMP device.
it is.
well, what was it? I remember you did set something on fire. I remember a story about.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Okay.
work.
Was that at work?
Yeah.
I know I should
Had
have
that.
Keith for more stories now that he's working with Aaron.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. I just.
So-
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Keith,
so
will,
he's done bombs.
Keith will have a
But-
lot of stories.
So back in the Mandalorian, like something I wanted to address is that they act like when the child uses what we recognize as Force abilities, no one's like, it's the Force. We
Yeah.
need to take him to
That's true. Everyone's kind of in shock and all.
Yeah,
They don't
and
understand
like
what's going on.
even the Mandalorians refer to the Jedi as sorcerers.
Mhm.
So I think it's interesting that they have like shown the galaxy like this far removed from Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
and 'cause-
Carl Weathers called it his magic hands. Do the magic hands.
Yeah,
but,
that was great.
Yeah, it's that far removed from Jedi that they're like, yeah, this is just magic,
Mm-hmm.
and he can somehow use magic. You need to find his sorcerers for him.
You think that's because Emperor Palpatine, while he was in power, put out a bunch of stuff about the Jedi's being fake news?
Well, I mean, this is far enough. This is far enough removed from Jedi, though, that I think
Yeah.
that.
Because it would have to be however old Luke and Leia are, and this is like however many years after the Empire has fallen. So it'd have to be at least 40 years from
Well,
when the Jedi Council fell.
This would be
fell?
like 5
Order
years after the
66.
fall of Endor, right? So it'd be 25 years.
6
Luke
years,
was
because
about
Kara
20.
said 6 years ago or something like that. She'd
Alright,
been.
so Luke would be 26 in that case, because it was 20 years from the birth of the twins to the fall of the Empire.
It was? I thought it was a little bit more than that.
Luke was 19, 20
Oh, when the whole
in
thing.
episode
He was just
4.
a kid.
So
Yeah.
But yeah, but that how
I-
many?
I don't
but
know
that
how
there
long-
was still
how
some
long
years.
Did it take from episode 4 to episode 6?
I thought it was at least a few years.
It would. I
Yeah.
would hope so. It's like I would hate to think that Luke could become a Jedi Master in a weekend. Like,
No.
even a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, no,
I-
it was a few years after.
To say
Well, they had all the Jedi Master coins to hand out, so he just got one of those.
Yeah. I did it.
to be safe, I'd say let's just say 30 years. It's 30 years since the fall of the
Well,
Jedi Council at least.
It was about the same time as the Rocky training sessions. where you,
See,
where you just
and
you
that's
listen
just
to
having Carl Weathers in the Mandalorian. I keep wanting to like hear Rocky's like, the Mandalorian's down. There is no tomorrow. Get up.
See, everyone goes to Rocky for Carl Weathers, and I go to Predator.
Well,
Yeah.
He was jacked.
I think you can actually make a personality judgment based on that. But it's like-
You do you, boo.
Well, I think we've knocked that dead.
So, we
But-
were-
Yeah. Any other Star Wars related talk? Chris,
so
any thoughts?
No, I mean, I liked, at the end of the day, when it comes to the movies, like you said, the point early on, that's about as good as it's going to get. And I think where it's left is we can either continue with additional miniseries like The Mandalorian, or we can look forward to maybe another trilogy, maybe a few years down the road or something like that.
Let me
I
ask you a
don't see it
question.
happening anytime soon.
Leia,
Mhm.
Carrie Fisher, was her insertion into 9 inorganic? It's like, did it inhibit the proper flow of the movie? I think it did a little bit. I think it would have been different had she been alive.
Yeah, I think it was kind of given that she wasn't going to live through that, and it was just a matter of how are they going to write that into the story.
she was supposed to have a lightsaber battle. We
Yeah.
were supposed to see her Jedi training.
I would have liked that a lot.
And
It's like,
And so they give you kind of a glimpse of some lightsaber fighting and training when her younger years with Luke
But
or
they
whatever.
CGI'd
But
that in,
yeah, but
so-
they had to CGI that in, and it
which I thought was better. Well, her CGI in this was much better than the CGI in
it
Rogue One.
was.
So,
It gets a lot better, especially with all the deep fake stuff we can
Yeah.
do
Personally,
now.
my
It's kinda
biggest
scary.
biggest disappointment is Han Solo. That they took him from no force, is going to tell me what to do, to this whole.
He believes in.
Not only does he believe in it, he's spermified the force a little too, or whatever. He's
Spermified?
he's become family with the force also.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it
he's
just
seen
And
a
he's
lot.
he's my favorite. Before whatever brainwashing they did to him, that Leah did, he was my favorite
I know what
character.
brainwashing she did.
Yeah.
and you set yourself up for that.
Yeah. No, I know, but that's
Oh,
just.
I mean, well,
He wasn't quite the rebel that I thought he was going to be.
well, think about it kind of from his view. I mean, it's kind of hard to be, no force is going to tell me what to do.
And your son sending you Christmas cards from Jedi school.
Yeah.
But, well, there's that, but you're like having your 2-year-old just like force slap you across the room when you won't give him his binky.
I just,
Yeah.
it ruined my favorite character. That's all I liked.
I'd
As
like
a
to
kid,
think
I really
that
liked
that's
Han
just
Solo.
showing how much he's grown and learned over
You-
the time about the reality
So
of it. Like,
you are upset that Han Solo now tolerates the Force?
Yeah, I'm upset
It's
that
like-
he became one of the religious fanatics.
was he really though?
No,
it's
he
like-
wasn't.
it's not a
He's
belief
part of
system.
his family
He
now. I
saw
don't
it
think it's
happen.
necessarily his belief. It's just that is what it is. That's the
Yeah,
reality.
like at the
I
end,
wouldn't-
still.
in The Force Awakens.
Well,
no.
you can't.
There's
Like,
I
no
mean, I
need-
don't see him out there being a poster
In The
boy
Force
saying like, he
Awakens-
should become a Jedi or anything.
Yeah, I just rewatched this. In The Force Awakens, Finn's like, Han's like, how are we gonna blow up this planet? And Finn's just like, the Force will help us do it. And Han's just like,
It doesn't
that's
work
not
out.
how it works. That's not how any of this
Yeah,
works.
but so I think you're still that he understands the limitations. He doesn't rely on
If
it
only they would have
necessarily.
kept that throughout the rest of the movies.
Faith is belief without proof, and the Force, you can have proof. It's like you can watch them lip things and read minds and do all the stuff. It's not. They don't need. It's not a faith-based
Right.
system.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, he would have that knowledge of like
evidence
that
to
the Force
support the
works
existence
kind
of
of
the
like
Force.
Empirical
electricity and
But
But
it's
shit.
shared by all.
But
Yes.
at the start, in the original in Star Wars, it was still a little bit of a faith-based because Han Solo didn't believe in it.
Yeah, well, there
he
was no
never had
people to prove
experienced
it.
Yeah.
I just
See, but there was though. Like
Obi-Wan.
I just
no, because when he was a kid, like the Jedi still would have been around.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, they weren't in his orbit.
But they
But
existed.
they still would. Yeah, they still would have. They
were
would have been in the
they were
news. His
peacekeepers
dad would
of
have
the
told him.
galaxy. Yeah.
Fake news.
His dad would have told him that there were Jedi, and it was like.
But again, that's the scale of this universe. It's a galaxy. How
So,
big's a galaxy?
I think Bill's
Were they all in
implying
one
that
spot?
Han Solo watches the Fox News of the galaxy far, far away.
I just say Star Wars has killed the rugged individualist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
no,
how would
they
you describe
haven't.
the Mandalorian then?
That was
Well,
Rey.
he's
That's the
ignorant.
Mandalorian.
Right.
That's,
Well, but the myth, but now they're all going to become believers in the Force and unity.
How is
and
that
all.
not a
They're-
right-
They're all like Harry Krishners now.
what?
They all keep developing towards the.
Like
Yeah, but-
Han was still a rugged individualist in the Force Awakens. He
Yeah.
died one.
Yeah.
Which one?
The Force Awakens, episode 7.
Yeah.
Like when he comes
Yeah.
back, Han and Chewie are just like
Oh, Han.
bouncing around the galaxy, still looking for his ship,
Yeah.
still running scams,
Yeah.
still doing all
Oh,
that.
I suppose, but no, but he
All he did was accept that there's space magic.
Yeah.
Ha.
Because he saw it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
saw it. His wife could do
Right.
it. It's
Yeah,
like,
But he
like-
didn't change his life.
Yeah,
That's
rugged
like-
individualists
it's
aren't
not like-
aren't like
Yeah,
no,
but
electricity doesn't exist.
He
I've
made
seen
compromises.
fire.
He made compromises in marriage, and he
Yeah.
was like,
I still gonna put it down. I've seen a magician make people disappear, and I still don't really believe in magic. So
Well,
Han Solo
that's
has
because
sold out.
that's because you know, like that there are tricks to it, but it like
I liked
If your wife had the Force, would you ever need Viagra?
Oh my God.
and on that question, I think we're done.
Man, way to tank that. It's like,
Wow.
well done.
Just a thought.
You went, I mean, like 7 levels down.
We
from wherever,
well, we wanted a more adult-themed Star Wars.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
right.
did.
And
We
there
did.
you
We
go.
answer these
But,
questions.
yeah.
That's
Somebody
right.
out there get to writing.
Somebody wants to know that.
I mean, do that. Go ahead and do that search
No.
on Google.
Yeah.
Don't let me know.
You got
if
a tablet
lying.
right there.
See,
Just
Bill-
quick type
Bill
it
right
in.
No,
here has-
there's
Seth
parodies
says
out there.
we're
Bill
out of
has
time.
pointed
Be
out.
sure to turn on your VPN when you do
Because
that. search.
this is like there's all sorts of problems they haven't explored, like the Force and sort of like the Me Too movement,
Right.
where because they some touchy feelies without anybody's permission.
Well, I mean, if you look at it that way, the original, the first,
Jedi Temple, just people getting force slapped on the ass.
well, no, the
Can you
first-
imagine Trump
the
with the
first
Force?
trilogy?
let's
Oh.
not. He'd be a Sith Lord.
The first
Maybe
trilogy,
it's-
the first trilogy only had the entire universe only had 2 women. Well, 3 if you count Varu.
Hey, those Ewoks could have been ladies. Some of them.
Well,
They could
they,
have all been ladies.
yeah,
Right.
all been
They
They
eat the
should-
males.
they had dresses from somewhere. I don't know. We don't ask too many questions about that.
We don't talk about the Ewoks.
Yeah.
You leave my murder bears alone.
They are murder bears, and it's like, all right, no, that's fine.
Just don't-
You hang with the Ewoks. It's like,
Don't draw the attention of the Ewoks. They can't hurt you then.
They only sense movement.
I'm overall excited for where Star Wars is going.
Yeah,
I don't
too,
know where that's
agree
at. I
with
don't know
Chris.
that anyone really knows.
because
But it's
Disney's
unlimited in that
Right.
galaxy.
Disney's
Yeah.
going to take it where Disney wants to take it, and I think there's going to be some attention paid to continuity. And
See-
I'm excited.
I think Disney should do for. I think they need to do for with Star Wars what was kind of done with Marvel.
Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some
Well,
other
a
stuff,
little
or
bit of that,
just-
but more like tell different stories. Like you've
Yeah.
got Ant-Man, which was a heist, a superhero heist movie,
Yeah.
and a Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which was kind of a spy movie. Spy movie. You can do that now in like Star Wars if
Yeah,
you're not
it's a
focusing
pretty
on
broad
Skywalker.
range of
Do you think
stories
there
you
could be a
can
Star Wars comedy?
I would.
That's
watch that.
that's what Lower Decks is. It's an animated Star Trek comedy.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't see why I would love to see that, but it's
Yeah.
like I've heard rumors that Feige might actually be overseeing the Star Wars franchise.
I mean, let's make Jar Jar captain
I
of
think
a
that might be
ship
wishful
and
thinking. I feel like his plate is pretty
mix it up
full.
a little.
Like wrangling and keeping the
there's
details
enough
in
for
check.
different.
Marvel.
I really enjoyed Solo,
Is Jar Jar dead?
but I kind of like the space cowboy.
I mean, we can't have
Stuff.
good things anymore, so no.
But the Force
yeah.
has always bothered me anyway. So
Yeah.
You don't like magic stuff.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
silly.
I loved Rogue One. I mean,
I loved Rogue One. I
Yeah.
think that was my favorite Star
I
Wars.
was just wondering if some childhood magician did something to you that makes
Well,
you
maybe.
incredibly unhappy.
Maybe.
Force
He
Yeah.
saw that
Force
person
touched him.
disappear, and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did take those lessons from Dr. Magical, but
Doctor.
well,
what?
I don't know what it
I don't know. I
those
think this is
lessons
something
are
for your
story.
therapist
Yeah.
and not for the podcast.
so
Yeah,
on
in
that
the back
note,
of that windowless
But yeah,
van,
I don't. The magic part is always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that note, definitely let us know what you think. Are we way off base? If you want to add some comments or links to, help inform the discussion, or if you have ideas, it is 2020, so we are looking for new podcast topics and themes. Anything you want us to test or
Talk
bring
about.
to the show, let us know.
Go to, if you want to leave us a comment or ideas, go to galacticdriftwood.space and leave us a comment on this episode or any other episode.
Did you check to see if anyone left us a positive review so that we could shout out their name on here like you said you would do?
Oh, I suppose I can check that right now.
Well, while he's doing that, I think next time we'll try to get together and talk about The Expanse, maybe Lost in Space, The Witcher,
I
which
mean,
is
Definitely
very
The
good.
Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
We also need to do a year in review for
Okay.
2019.
Somebody will
Yeah.
be very critical of The Witcher.
We kind
Charles
of should have
will.
done that this one, shouldn't we?
No new reviews.
Aw.
All right.
Why you gotta make a girl cry?
That's right.
Look what you guys did to Jenna.
Making Jenna cry. We'll get that fixed by next episode. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.